This is Signal and Noise, bringing clarity to data, tech, and AI.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Brett House at Signal and Noise, joined by my co-host Rio Longacre. We are excited to talk today about AWS reInvent, a little after the fact, a little belated, but Rio, who spent some time on the floor for, I think, the entire time in Vegas, right, Rio?
I was there the entire, it was almost the whole week. So I spent you were just fresh from CES. So I spent 2 of the last 5 weeks in Vegas. Yes.
Yeah. Not quite as big as CES. I think it's about 50K versus 150K, but you being on the ground there, I wasn't able to go. I was with you obviously at CES, but I'd love to hear, and I think the audience would love to hear, some of the key takeaways and maybe a little intro to what the event is for those that don't know what the AWS Amazon Web Services reInvent show is.
Yeah. Thanks, Brett. So, I know you could not make it this year. I mean, I've been to reInvent. I think going back over 10 years at this point. So this is Amazon Web Services, AWS. This is their annual conference, right? And I think they started hosting this back in it's 2012. Look at my notes here. I think it's 2012 was the first time. And it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger every year. It was around 60,000 people. I think it's just under 60,000 this year. And it's a fun event. I mean, it's very tech focused, like CES, very advertising, marketing focused. CMOs go there. This is very tech and IT focused. I think increasingly over the last few years, we've seen more kind of advertising marketing involvement. A big part of that is because AWS has leaned in, and many of the ISVs, independent software vendors on AWS, they've leaned more and more into ad tech and martech, which has been nice for me because there are more relevant meetings.
And does Amazon Ads have a good presence there as well? Is it the entire?
Yeah, you'd think they would, but not so much. So like Amazon Ads has their annual event Unbox, which was in Nashville last year. It was in New York the last bunch of years. And that is their event. AWS is really not invited to that. In fact, it's very hard for people at AWS to even get a ticket permission to go.
And vice versa?
This is the reverse, right? There are some people from ads, but very few of them, only some senior people and only people who really have some good reason to be there. It's my understanding many of them have been told don't even bother going. We're prioritizing tickets for customers, for clients and partners, not for people that are at the business unit. It's a very different model, right? And so you think about it, AWS is selling cloud hosting, cloud migration, all of the cloud services, right? And Amazon Ads is really selling media on Amazon.com and all the different places they now have inventory through their DSP. So
it's the kind of clean break between ad tech for Amazon Ads and MarTech data tech for what AWS is, right?
Correct. And a lot of the
cloud interoperability and data management and data, et cetera.
Yeah, and a lot of people there are, again, they're in IT. More and more you see CMOs because CMOs are, a lot of the things they're doing are not now on in the cloud, obviously. So more and more of them are there, but it's more of an IT conference. And the reason I've been going for a long time is I've been working for consultancies and systems integrators. And the previous firm I was with was part of the Amazon or the AWS partner network from about, I think since the beginning, actually. So I would go a bunch of years and meet with people. And I found the last 4 or 5 years, especially past COVID, it's been more of an emphasis in advertising marketing. And it's been fun. There's been a lot of people I know there. And it's a good event. It's well run. I mean, they put on a great event. I mean, I find more and more of my clients go there. And if you want to really get up to speed on what are they doing, especially as we pivoted into the agentic space, and a lot of the tools that are being built for marketers are now on AWS using a lot of the tools that they're putting out, which would include everything from AWS Cleanroom, AMC, Amazon Marketing, which is an ads product, but it's on AWS, Pinpoint, Personalize, and then going into Bedrock and Nova and some of their AI services. So increasingly things for marketers are built in AWS using products and services. They roll Amazon Connect being another, which is their kind of unified customer profiles and contact center solution, contact center as a service. So a lot of interesting stuff going on.
Yeah. And so I heard, no surprise here that Agentic AI was the headline. Same with CES. It's everywhere. It's showing up in the agentic layer inside AWS Transform. For enterprise modernization, there's big implications across MarTech and ad tech, right? With agentic workflows simplifying ID activation, data
Yep.
movement, and interoperability, measurement. That was a big topic I took away from a lot of the conversation in the industry recently of getting quicker to actionable insights than you
And
could
using
before.
agentic workflows to do that. Yes.
Yeah. So what did you hear a lot? I mean, what, beyond the kind of smoke and mirrors, signal and noise, what was the signal at reInvent, and what was the pulse?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk in terms of, I think it was kind of light on new services, but heavy on agentic services or agentic flavors for existing services like Nova Forge is their way to a new protocol they've released in order to help marketers build agentic workflows across different solutions and data sets. I think that was kind of interesting. We're going to see, it's a conference for builders, right? So we're going to see more solutions built using these technologies. There was definitely an emphasis on ID, how to use that, as well as measurement, how to pull in unified workflows for that. One key takeaway, Brett, I really liked was just validates the trend we've been seeing of in real life really mattering. Um, people commented to me, "Oh, we got more done in a week than would have gotten done in several months." So I think the trend of people preferring authentic, in real life meetings and connections for sure. I saw that trend continuing during reInvent, and then a big thing that came up too was, well, if you want to do AI, that's great. You want to build things that are agentic, wonderful, but you really need a solid data foundation, and whether that includes your metadata taxonomy, your the way you're storing and tagging and governing your data, super important. A lot of in fact, what we're presenting here is more it's a compilation of executive interviews that took place during the conference, including with many partners. You'll hear one from Jasper AI, for example. I think what they're doing is very interesting. Treasure Data, a partner I've been working with for many years. Databricks, along with a bunch of others. So this is really a compilation of their insights from the show, what they saw, what was maybe missing, and what they're expecting to see over the next coming coming weeks and months really in this space. So this is really a compilation of these interviews. There are a couple with Omnicom executives that I think are quite interesting. Some of them have been going to this for a long time, others not. So it's an interesting takeaway from different voices about what we heard at the show, along with my takeaways during the show as well. There's an intro, I think a day one recap. There's a middle one, and then there's the final one. And Brett, I know you couldn't make it, so we had to fill in with who's Alyssa Firth, who's an ad tech consultant here at Omnicom Credera. She helped out, and she was great, and we had a lot of fun hanging out together. Next year, Brett, I hope you'll be out there as well. But this is fun. I don't think we need to go into any more detail. We've got well over an hour of executive discussions to follow.
Yep, and as everybody that listening to this podcast and listening and checking out Signal Noise in general, it's really meant to be operator led and founder led. So that you're getting perspective from the people on the front lines, many that are executives. So it's deeper insight than I think you see in a lot of other places. So enjoy these interviews that Rio and Alyssa at Credera conducted on our behalf, and it should be exciting. So enjoy.
Hi, this is Rio Longacre. I'm here at AWS reInvent 2025. Got a special guest, Patrick. Welcome. Great to see you. Patrick's from Treasure Data. Good friend. I've known him for a long time. We've done a lot of work together over the years. So it's great to see you, and thanks for coming to the suite.
Yeah, really appreciate you having me. It's been a great event so far. Been really busy, and really excited to be working, obviously, with the Credera team and all the great work that's gone on, and feel like we're setting up some big things heading into next year, which is really exciting.
Awesome. Well, we can start out by just tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and Treasure Data.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work for Treasure Data. It's a customer data platform. We've been around about 14 years now, and work with many of the world's largest enterprise retail, auto, and consumer product goods brands. And really focused on the evolution, obviously, of the MarTech and ad tech space. Focused a lot around how you centralize your data and activate it, in all the different ways that we're seeing data used these days, obviously with a lot of focus and power on AI and engagement from that as well.
Great. Could you maybe tell our viewers a little bit about maybe just I know it's only day number 2, beginning of day number 2. Like, what have you noticed so far? Like what's a call out? What's a trend you see? Something interesting?
Yeah. I think you could already feel, just having walked through the expo for 5 minutes yesterday, that everybody's really obviously leaned in a lot in AI. And it's fascinating for me because I think one of the things we're really focused on is the interconnectivity of agents, and kind of the future of the micro agent, if you will. So not one thing's going to solve all your problems, but agents to agents communicating with one another. And I think that's a lot of focus that a lot of platforms currently have as they build out their own solutions. One of the things that we're thinking really strategically about is how we expand that into the ecosystem, right? So how do the agents that the Credera team build work with the agents that the Treasure Data team build, or that you build for Treasure Data, to connect data or identity or activation or segmentation, whatever the case may be? And I think that that's really going to be a fascinating thing to watch as the week goes on and other announcements are made. We're built on AWS, so there's a lot of investment for us in the solutions that they're rolling out this week. But for me, it's really about kind of that interconnectivity that I find really interesting. If you find something that's gold for you and works really well, it still has to communicate out into the larger MarTech and AdTech ecosystem. And the way that you do that, I think, is going to be really compelling to watch over the next 6 months or so.
What's something that you haven't heard so far that you think people should be talking about, or that you expect to come up over the next couple days?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that there's been such an over rotation on AI. And I know you
Everywhere you go, yeah.
And I know you love the trough of disillusionment. And I'm not saying we're there yet, but we may be headed there. Probably depends on the day. For me, I really think about leaning back about the data and feel like foundationally everything that we do, good data drives it all, right? Whether it's your agentic solutions, whether it's your activation strategy for your marketing solution, whether it's just knowing your customers better, right? That data is the gold that powers all of this. I feel like a lot of that gets swept a little bit under the rug. And I feel like there's opportunity across the MarTech and AdTech space to really lean back in on data and understand how that's going to power your agentic solutions moving forward. Because in the end, what are we trying to do? Engage with customers better, acquire prospects, the same thing that we've been doing for a long time. And foundationally, it's always been built on that. And so that's one of the things I really want to hear more about while we're here.
So it's kind of back to basics, or garbage in, garbage out, right? If you don't get these, if you don't have a solid foundation, you can, good luck building anything, and agentic AI is going to be really challenging. So it's a good call out.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All right. Well, that was it for my questions. Great seeing you. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
I really appreciate it, Rio. I hope you and everybody else has a great week, and looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, this is Rio Longacre here for Signal and Noise podcast. I'm here with a special guest today, Nick Albertini, who's the field CTO at our valued long-term partner, Tealium. Nice to have you.
Great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So today we'll be talking to Nick about some of what he's seen here at reInvent 2025 in Las Vegas, and some observations, as well as some things maybe he didn't see or wants to see. So let's maybe start a little bit about you. I'd love if you could tell our viewers maybe a little bit about yourself, your background,
Sure.
your current role, and a little bit about Tealium too.
Great. Yeah. So I've been in the industry for almost 20 years. Work with large agencies as well as small. Started vendor side. If you know the tool called Core Metrics that was sunset not too long ago. Cut my teeth there, and then moved in the agency space. And now I'm working with the leader in the CDP space in Tealium as the global field CTO. It was just a sort of match made in heaven, if you will, because I've been working with them for 15 years as a partner, and very excited to join here.
Awesome. Well, I've been working with them for a number of years too as a partner, so good choice.
Thank you.
Yeah, and good people, good tech. So, and I think there's like only 3 tag managers, and one of them is Tealium, right?
That's right.
Like there's there's Adobe,
Adobe and GTM, right? And then I guess we can count Insight and technically still alive. A couple of my old clients are still using them, but I don't think they have a business plan anymore. So.
Yeah, I haven't run into them in a while, but really glad you can make it here today. So how about we start out by, we're last day here, close to the end. You got to probably see a lot of things, talk to lots of people. What's like what's the biggest trend you've seen, or what's something you want to call out that maybe you think would be nice to share with the viewers?
Sure. There's a couple of things that are interesting that came up. I'll start with the less obvious. So AWS Transform, I think, is pretty fantastic. It's the actual agentic ability to rewrite your legacy code in AWS.
That was the first day they launched. That was cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that because a lot of old tech needs a lot of transformation. So excited to see that. Some of the new chips are interesting. I think they're going to consume a lot of electricity, and maybe the desert in the background here have a bunch of new power plants pop up pretty soon. We'll see.
Turbines and solar panels, and anything to generate electricity.
Or nuclear probably is going to be more practical.
I think, weren't they going to restart 3 Mile Island at some point?
But there's a good chance of that, right? But then, of course, there's Agentic AI that everyone is talking about, and we'll continue to talk about. And I was just at a security briefing with Trend Micro just a minute ago, and they were talking about that they promised they wouldn't say AI or LLM.
They keep their promise?
No, they said it 4 times. So he struck out, definitely.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't think I went to a single session where it wasn't Agentic AI. Didn't come up at least once.
Exactly. But yeah, overall, that's really what I've heard. It's nothing stunning, but it's been a good conference overall.
I thought some of the Nova 2 updates are pretty cool as well, in terms of just giving the ability for interoperability across, let's say, just different MarTech, AdTech platforms, the potential to create these agents and build agentic workflows across them using this new toolkit. I thought was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, definitely. Nova is going to be, we can call it a game changer. I think it's AWS definitely catching up with a lot of the bigger cloud players, are same size, but still the cloud players who have been pushing very hard in the agent space.
What's one thing that either didn't come up that you are surprised didn't come up, or what's something that maybe you're not surprised, but you think is going to be a big thing we talk about in coming?
Yeah, great question. Definitely not surprised that it didn't come up, because to many people it's considered boring, right? They want to be talking about agents. They want to be talking about AI, but what didn't come up is the foundational data that actually powers agentic AI. The contextually relevant, the well-consented, the full set, and then the data that actually is in the right format for agents to actually use it. That didn't come up at all. And that's the foundational issue that most clients are running into, is they say, we need to do artificial intelligence this, we need to do agent that. And we say, fantastic. How does your data look? And they
always say it's great, don't they?
Oh, it's great. But then you peel the layers back and you go, oh, it's not great. And this is not going to work. So that didn't come up. And, from a Tealium perspective, just to give a little plug for a second, right?
Go for it.
That's the power of Tealium, is it creates that contextually relevant, consented, full set of data in a JSON object to export to essentially any location.
What does Tealium do differently than other solutions, like in terms of consent? Because I think you have a good story there.
It's consent at every event level. It's consent that's passed down the entire data pipeline, data chain, if you will. We have our own consent management capability that lives directly in the tool, and that actually gets passed directly into event stream and audience stream, so that all of that data is consented and is relevant and has context.
I think that's really important, especially, let's say they're working with Tealium, they have both modules, and then they also have, let's say, an enterprise data warehouse where they're going to be storing lots of that. I think knowing that they're passing consented data in there and they're updating those consent signals, I think that's powerful.
Oh, it very much is. And even on the flip side of, let's say, non-consented data, the things like Google's consent mode V2 allows you to have anonymous data ping. So you still are getting a conversion point, and we can collect that as well. So that's very interesting that you can still tie that. Now it's not going to be tied to a person, but it's still going to fill in a lot of the gaps that you may have in your data, and agents are going to be looking for that data. Otherwise, it's going to hallucinate, and suddenly you're going to have incomplete data sets that it's actioning upon. And suddenly you have random emails that come out that don't make any sense.
Yeah, that's one thing. I think the risk of agentic AI is if you start the agents, if you set them forth to do tasks, they will complete them. And if they have incorrect or missing or incomplete data,
they're going to try their best. Yeah, exactly. Or they'll just bomb out and you won't know why.
Well, it's funny. I was using one of the AI services to help me write something a couple of weeks ago, and then it gave me this output that looked great. This is exactly what I was looking for. Wow. And I said, okay, well, these stats are they're perfect. Where'd you get them? I made them up.
Oh no.
Can't find us. You made them up.
This
right?
looks so great. I mean, I'm going to publish this.
And it basically explained how, okay, so I found this and I found this and I found this and I divided them and added this. No, like I can't.
It just
I
filled
can't
in the
publish
gaps.
this.
Right.
It's crazy. So
But let's not have gaps. And that's,
you don't want that.
yeah.
So where's where are you off to next? Where's the next event?
Today we're wrapping up. Actually, it's getting to the end of the day. Gonna probably go see replay for a little while, watch back play, and
Warm.
I will. But I'm from Texas. I don't really get cold or hot, no matter what. We got all the seasons, so I'll be all right.
Nice. Well, enjoy it. Great catching up, and
thank you.
Sure, we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks so much. Hi, this is Rio Longacre, and I'm here with Alyssa Firth from Credera for Signal and Noise podcast, and this is a special session here with our friends from Claravine. Welcome. Love it if you could maybe start out by telling our viewers a little bit about yourselves and your company.
Yeah, so my name is Travis Caldwell, senior sales engineer with Claravine. We are a marketing, metadata, and taxonomy management platform.
Yep, Ned Bigelow, enterprise sales. So we help to embed persistent and purpose-built data into all of our partners' digital experiences and touch points. So we help to kind of remove that whole human error in the manual process and allow for them to operate on a single source of truth and become that center of excellence.
There's definitely never human errors in metadata management.
Oh, never. Yeah.
Love it. What's one thing that you've noticed so far? I know it's only beginning of day 2, but is there anything you'd like to call out that's interesting or relevant or?
Yeah, it's probably not going to be that original, but AI for sure. And we have partners coming up to us all the time asking us how we help and play in AI. And we always turn that right back around and ask them. And oftentimes they don't even know. They're just tasked to be involved in AI. And I think, what we're interested in seeing about, how that plays out, it really is, who's really left out at the end when everything fleshes out. And, our play there and our conversation is, well, no matter what you're doing in AI, it's only as good as the data that's powering it, right? So if you have, again, it's kind of a antiquated statement, but garbage in, you're gonna get garbage out. So we really help with that AI initiative and making sure that that foundation is structured and standardized.
Yeah, and I'll echo what Ned said. Is it really is AI. I mean, that's the forefront of every conversation today. And the contextual data is so key to that. And I think that's where we fit in, is providing that context. We have structure, we want structure, but AI doesn't necessarily care about structure as much as it maybe cares about context. So giving us the ability to provide that context is where we really like to sit.
So something Rhea and I were just talking about is how exciting it is to see all of the partners here that work with AWS and the ecosystem. Can you talk a little bit about how you all work with, within the AWS ecosystem, particularly for clients and advertisers that are interested in using both AWS and Claravine?
Yeah, absolutely. So our platform is actually built on AWS. So we're a big partner there. And a lot of times folks are moving data in and out of the platform, utilizing AWS S3 buckets and things like that. So it's really a key point of entry and exit for our platform. So we want to support the existing platforms that partners are using.
I know, again, only one day in, there's a couple of days left to the conference. What's something that you haven't heard you think people should be talking about, or something that you really think we should expect to hear over the next couple of days?
Yeah, we were talking about this last night. Taxonomy is, a lot of people say it's not sexy. We have had partners. We've had partners that work with us that actually say taxonomy is sexy. And I think, when you realize that all the benefits across the entire, ecosystem and landscape of the campaign, from beginning operations all the way to analytics, when you address it, when you kind of make those foundational changes, it's a really beautiful world out there, and the campaigns from top to bottom are that much more beneficial and successful. So I'm sort of excited to see when that real awakening happens in the marketplace. Obviously we're sitting here speaking about it often, and I think there is a little bit of awakening on taxonomy and data standardization. So
I'd go with content. I know content is huge, but for some reason there's a gap between performance of content and performance of your campaign data. So how are we going to tie that together? How are we going to build, a chain of custody throughout when it starts at production for a piece of content all the way to activation and really measure that throughout, the entire process.
It's interesting. Alyssa, you were talking earlier today about content supply chain. You expected that to be a big one. So yeah, I think that's a good call out. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap?
No, thank you so much for coming and having this conversation with us. Really excited.
Yeah, and you heard it. Yeah, and you heard it here, folks. Let's make taxonomy sexy again. Signal and Noise podcast over and out. Thank you. Hi, this is Rio Longacre. I'm here with Alyssa Firth from Credera, and we're AWS reInvent. This is our recap for day number 1. Yesterday was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of energy. Everyone's really excited.
Yeah, a lot of people. Huge event. I mean, I don't know what the count is. Probably 50,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's taken over Vegas. Day 1 was good. I mean, I guess my main takeaways, like number 1, not surprisingly, Agentic AI.
Always.
A lot of buzz about that. They announced, I mean, it was kind of a slow day in terms of like overall announcements. We're expecting a bunch of those starting today in terms of new features, new products, et cetera. But Agentic AI applied to AWS Transform, which is their enterprise application migration and modernization tool that has some interesting updates for that, like applying an agentic layer on top of that, I guess you would call it. I think the implications from MarTech and AdTech is if you're multi-cloud, your data is different places. If you want to activate IDs, transfer data, measurement across in a multi-cloud environment, I think it does make it a little easier and potentially unlock some ways to attack that with using agentic AI workflows, which is interesting. So I think that's something we should definitely stay close to and look at as more announcements will come over the next couple of days. Another thing I noticed, Alyssa, too, is we had that happy hour yesterday, that Credera happy hour. Loads of partners showed up, which is great. I think for me that just shows like AWS it's a platform, and it's a platform for builders, and it's a platform. There's a reason why all of MarTech and AdTech is pretty much on AWS, right? Like all of these like great like ISVs we work with, like Treasure Data was there, Databricks was there, and Parity was there, Claravine, all these partners we do tons of work with on the ad tech side were there. And I think this just reinforces to me anyway, just how like it's a platform for builders. It's a platform for builders on MarTech and ad tech. And, that there's a reason why everyone's here. So that reinforced it to me, and that happy hour was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think also it's an ecosystem, right? And no one solution is going to rule them all. You can't, because everyone has a niche that really solves a specific problem, but it has to work together with all of the other solutions, or advertisers won't be able to adopt it. So I think that's the other thing that was really exciting when you think about all the partners that are coming here and talking about what they're building on AWS. The other is connectivity, right? And how do we continue to connect not only the solutions together, but connect data from MarTech into AdTech? And that's a lot of the conversations that we had at both the happy hour last night and some of the meetings that we had. So I think it's really exciting to see what we're going to do, what partners are going to do in that space. The third, I think that we're going to hear a lot this week is content supply chain and how our advertisers thinking about building, again, connected content supply chains, but then how are they using like Nova and Bedrock to help, create more variants of creatives and more personalized creatives without all of the manual kind of effort and workloads that it took before. So
it's interesting. I mean, it's a good call out. I think that with all the AI generated content we're starting to see, I think you're right. It becomes more important, and I would not surprise me if we hear a lot about that. So good call out.
Yeah.
So that's a recap from day number 1. We will be updating you daily as we learn more. Thanks for tuning in.
See you tomorrow.
Hi, Rio Longacre here from Credera at AWS reInvent 2025 in Vegas. We're at middle of day number 2 and filming another special session for Signal and Noise podcast. I've got a special guest here, Lisa Hopkins from Jasper.
Hey, Rio.
Jasper AI. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. Another reInvent. Here we are.
Another one. Yeah, it's been more than one. Yeah. Appreciate you taking the time today. So, Lisa, you were telling us a little bit about
Jasper AI. Maybe you can just spend a moment, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your company.
Okay. Yep. So I am the vice president of partnerships at Jasper. Been here about 10 months. Been in the partnerships space for a very long time.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say the
back.
I'm not going to
We
say
go
the
back
number of
several
years.
companies
Yes.
in her partnership
So,
tenure.
and Jasper, we're a content creation platform.
Mhm.
And we like to say that we're a for marketers by marketers way with which to leverage AI to create all different types of content for your organization. Our key is that that content is created all on brand with our IQ layer, and we're able to do great things for marketers at scale.
What have you noticed so far at reInvent? I know we're middle of day 2. What have you seen that's been interesting, worth calling out? That there's anything you can tell the viewers?
I think what's interesting is similar to last year and the start of the year before, AI is still the hot topic, but it's now evolving as to how are you leveraging AI at scale within your organization? How are you getting ROI from those investments that you've made? And what's the next big thing? So different topics that have come up on what the next big thing is. I don't think that there's one answer.
No
Right now.
consensus yet, right?
No consensus yet, but a number of good conversations in regards to the fact that I think we all know it's not going away.
What have you not heard that you think people should be talking about, or maybe something you'd expect is probably going to come up between now and the end of the event?
Yeah, we were talking about this not too long ago, but I would just expect more in the topic of personalization of how is AI really going to help affect us as individuals and how we collaborate and communicate with each other. And we're still most of the conversations we've had have been at a higher level and not very much of this nirvana that we've talked about on personalization for years in the marketing organization. But I think we're at that cusp right now, and I'm just surprised that we're not talking more about it.
It's interesting. I mean, I've been working on one-to-one personalized marketing for, I guess, ostensibly for close to 20 years. But I think the promise was always so great, but the execution was hard. And I think just variance of content and getting it created and approved, especially in regulated industries, is always super challenging. So I think AI could really change all that. So excited about what you're working on, and I'm really thrilled to see what happens.
Yeah, we are too. It was good seeing you.
Thanks for coming in, and over and out. Hi, this is Rio Longacre from Credera. I'm here for Signal and Noise podcast. This is reInvent, wrapping up day number 3 here, and here with a special guest, Adrian Bolasan from Databricks. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Rio.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Yeah.
I think I see you at a bunch of these conferences.
Yes,
so,
all around the world.
That is true. That is true. So, Adrian, love to, if you could tell our viewers a little bit, maybe just start telling them a little bit about yourself, your role, and what you do at Databricks.
Yeah. So I lead our global data collaboration strategy at Databricks. Been here for just over a year and some change.
Okay.
Data collaboration is just the connectivity of our customers and partners on our platform. And that could be through things like data sharing, our marketplace. Clean rooms is a small part of that. Sure. But think of it as just collaboration and connectivity across all of our customers, 20,000 plus customers.
Great. And then I mean, I'm assuming most people know who Databricks is, but maybe just give a quick blurb on it, just for those who don't know.
For sure. For the super nerds, Databricks is the founders of Spark.
Yep.
But now has evolved very quickly to the data and AI platform. We're cloud agnostic, so you can run Databricks across Azure, GCP, AWS. That's why we're here at reInvent, big partner of ours, and help organizations de-silo all their data, govern their data, and run some of the data engineering, data science, data AI, et cetera.
Nice, awesome. And a lot of our viewers I think would consider themselves geeks, so they will get that, myself included. What's one thing that you've noticed the past couple of days, like a theme that's jumped out, something that you think an important announcement? I don't know, anything you'd like to call out?
Yeah, I think of buzzwords that happen in all these meetings that we're in, and I think model context protocol, or MCP in short, is what everybody's talking about. There's been a lot of launches. Even Databricks, we launched our MCP marketplace. And this is some of the largest data providers in the world are now offering their data in models in our marketplace. And I view that as the buzzword, because this is accelerating the value of data much faster, right? The best data powers the best models. And this is kind of like those two things combined packaged together. So this is just the maturation, I think, of where we are with data and AI.
Building a connectivity layer.
Correct.
Sure. What's one thing that you haven't really heard that you think you should heard, or like something maybe that like hasn't come up that you think viewers should be aware of?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not hearing, it's probably because it's not as sexy as MCP and everything,
right.
but it's data governance really, right? So like models and AI and everything are accessing more data more than ever. And like with that comes risk. And I think organizations aren't talking a lot about, I'm hearing some of it, but I don't think they're talking about it enough, right? And there was essentially the platform wars, the cloud wars. There was also like now it's like kind of the model wars, right? And so the best models are winning, and they're accessing data within our customers' environments. But it's like, well, what data are they accessing, and how are you governing that? So I think more now than ever, not that data privacy and governance is ever going to be sexy, but more now than ever, it's probably more important for these organizations to think about, well, how am I governing this when I'm accessing, when I'm bringing the best models to run on my data?
I'm sure there probably are some people watching this who do think those things are sexy, but not too many.
Yes.
This was great to see you.
Yeah, man.
Thanks again for stopping up by the suite, and
yeah, for
look
sure.
forward to seeing you again at the next conference.
Thanks, Rio.
Awesome. Hi, this is Rio Longacre here with Alyssa Firth for Signal and Noise podcast, and we're at reInvent 2025. This is a day we're day 2 in heaven. This is a day 2 recap. So a couple interesting days so far, wouldn't you say?
Really interesting, very busy, really exciting conversations.
One thing I noticed that I wanted to call out for the viewers is AWS did announce Nova 2, which is a customizable reasoning model, which is interesting. And and I think some of the use cases as we look for the more agentic workflows, I think this opens up some interesting possibilities for building those workflows for marketing, advertising use cases, specifically creating a connective tissue between marketing applications and MarTech applications. I thought that was kind of cool, and I'm excited to see what clients do with that within the incoming months and years.
Definitely. I think what's also really energized and excited me are the conversations we're having with partners. And now we're moving from AI as a thing to how do we actually really solve important client problems with AI and create the foundation for that. I mean, we've met with some awesome partners while we're here. 12 Labs, I think, is doing some really cool stuff.
I love them.
Yeah, right? Like they're doing something really cool with AI. It's very niche, but it plugs in so seamlessly and allows us to really solve client problems kind of across an array of industries and an array of things, from content supply chain to education to precision marketing, and really understanding more about how content is performing, all using AI, and then how we can use that embedded in our client's architecture to kind of build their own agentic workflows on top of that. So I would be really excited to partner with them and see how they grow.
Yeah. For those who don't know them, they're actually founded by 2 Koreans who I believe studied in the US, one Brown, one Berkeley. And then I think the founder stories, they had to go back to Korea to do their mandatory military service. And then they founded a company, and it's pretty interesting what they're doing in terms of capturing signals from video and capturing them and make them accessible and I think for advertising, there's going to be like being able to use that to maybe do product placements, or, I mean, I exactly how it fits in advertising, I think TBD, but I was really excited by the technology. A really cool company.
Me too. And it's very small. It's really nice to see smaller companies at this large event, and someone who's partnering with a big partner like AWS. And I think they have just huge potential. The other one is Mad Connect, right? And again, another small company that I'm super excited to partner with, because I think the applications are just so strong. Again, solving a really niche but really important client problem that then is going to power so many agentic workflows in addition to precision advertising and measurement. So really excited and energized by that conversation as well, and hope to see big things from them and Credera in the future.
Yeah, we're excited about the partnership for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to call out? Or?
No, I mean, I think I'm really excited for tomorrow as well, just seeing, what other conversations we have and what new partners that we can meet. So, stay tuned. We'll have more updates tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm going to a interesting panel event with a bunch of ad tech leaders today. And I think that just the fact that they're here now at AWS reInvent, you wouldn't have seen, 6-7 years ago, it was more IT. I mean, obviously still IT heavy, but we're getting a lot of people from marketing, advertising, technology, bigger and bigger presence, which is really awesome. So excited.
Yeah, I said to someone today, it's like we're creating our own track here at AWS around ad tech. And it's really exciting to see this community grow.
Yeah, I agreed. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, good morning. Real Longacre here with Kevin Erickson, CEO North America for Credera. We're here to talk about what we've seen at reInvent 2025 here in Vegas. It's the last day actually, so we'll talk a little bit about what we saw this week, some key trends, and what Mr. Erickson thought this interesting, and maybe some things he didn't see. So before we jump into that, love it if you could it's good to see you, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both got our coffee here.
We did, yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely great to see you. And before we get into all that stuff, and maybe this is even end question at the beginning, I just want to say it's been really great to meet you and know you this year. It's been one of I'm definitely in reflection mode. Last day of your event, a couple of weeks left of the year, and when I think of like the things that have been really cool this year, it's been having a chance to connect with you, and I look forward to a lot more opportunities to work with you and get to know you better. And so I just want to say that. And
thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, this is actually month number 5 for me at Credera. So it's been an exciting few months for me too.
Yeah. And I think what's so fun about this business, you and I have talked about this before, in this professional services world, we're in it for a long time in our careers. And what the relationships are what makes it matter, regardless of what the brands are and the times and how you interact, which is an interesting element of here too. When you run into friends and colleagues and run down the hall and like just hit someone in the shoulder and like, what is that? It's someone that you didn't talk to.
Or the chandelier bar, right?
Yeah.
At like 1 a.m.
Yeah, that was not my scenario, a little different. But to go back to your original question, thank you again for having me on. So again, Kevin Erickson, I've been at Credera for a long time. This has been about 14 years of really helping grow. So relatively new into the North America CEO role. It's a new position for us. But originally, I am my craft is helping companies grow and scale, usually from a human capital and strategy perspective, but being powered by technology. So it's applicable to what we're doing here this week at reInvent. And, and I love what I get to do in terms of how we interact and solve complex problems and do it often through people solutions. And so that's a little bit my background, and really feel it's been fun. It's been a fun week. It's a long week, and but really, it's really cool to see the energy. I've had in our business, you end up finding yourself here at different events, and I thought this one was actually energetic and really a theme that I feel like is, as I've seen with our clients and people, and there's this intersection of change with technology, companies working through that. Change causes tension and stress, and so there's a little bit of that, but also excitement. I just feel like generally excited. Personally, I'm excited about what we get to do, how we serve our clients. I think this intersection of tech, AI, really transformation is really at a spot that I haven't necessarily seen in a long time in my career, and really eager to see that. And I think just even walking around and talking to vendors and clients, I think people are more hopeful. Maybe they were a year ago.
Yeah, I think AI is becoming more real. That's the theme I heard a lot over the last few days. It's becoming like, I was at this ad tech expert panel last night. In fact, there's a host of AWS, which is great. There were a bunch of CTOs and from the tech side, from agency side, from brand side. It was a lot of fun. And like one theme that kept coming out was production. We're going to go from, we're kind of where AI is now. We're testing things, we're deploying some things, but maybe they're not necessarily being used. They're not. A lot of them haven't, let's say, arrived as like general availability, or GA as we call it, right? In tech. But the fact that we're going to get there, which I think is pretty cool. There's it seems a lot of belief that within this next year, this is year, a lot of this happens. So while you're walking around, it's funny, we did bump into each other on the show floor. What are some things you noticed on the show floor? Because it's changed a lot. I'd love to hear what you thought about it.
I think to me, what was interesting, again, not a ton of experience, what to expect, and it was just kind of cool. I thought what was interesting was the number of booths and vendors and like real-time solutions. Like, this is a specific problem that product could help, that was around a really busy. Instead of it saying like, hey, go hire us as a vendor or product company. Here's the type of things you do. Here's the features we can provide. But it was like very specific. This is what you're trying to solve in this industry or in this context. Come play with it and work through that. Which I thought was interesting to me. And then you really had a chance to do real time with that. You're able to then, other kind of experiential elements of of how that would, you obviously can do the whiz bang stuff, create this, do that, all that's all there too.
Including that mobile production studio.
Mobile production studio.
For those who weren't there, was this truck. It was a Rivian, right?
It was a Rivian and MGM studios.
Yeah, it had this like solar powered thing, and I thought it was to charge the car, but apparently there's this mobile production studios.
Yeah, and so I think that was kind of interesting. Yeah, I think that it's kind of fun. Again, in our business, we tend to go to a lot of these things that it's really all around. Most of the booths are really other professional service firms, and it's kind of fun to be in a product environment and just to see that. But I think it's just it kind of builds to me one of the themes, whether it be on the showroom floor, but also, or maybe it's even kind of what gets me excited about the energy that I have with about AI and what's going to look like for next year. I'm really excited to jump the innovation, jump the efficiency use case and get to significant structural change use case. We do things differently. We work through it this way. And I know that we're not quite there yet, but to me, that's what I'm personally super excited. I mean, we've gone from what is AI, proof of concept, how do you use it? I think many people, at least in our business, many people are using now from a velocity improvement perspective, which is great. There'll lots more to still do on that. But I love when you can actually rethink processes, systems, structures, vendor manage, how the vendors are going to fit in. I think that's going to be a really interesting theme for next year, is that how you think about a partner ecosystem is going to be different. Even going back to that, what we just talked about, having a point in time use case. Well, I may have been using that product or that partner for a broader tooling before. Well, now I'm using that specifically for that process improvement and change. And I think it's kind of fun to think about it differently. And then the fact that change can happen so fast that, at least what I see a lot in our clients and my clients' review, is that the constraint of silos and tech debt seems to be less. And obviously where the data is and how you get to it, but like you can actually jump over some things that would have been historically.
Maybe AI opens that up, right?
Yes, that's what I think is kind of interesting, that I don't know if I truly appreciated a year ago, that how much that would allow for us to not just like kind of close off the back attic and don't remember what's up there, but in some ways I can still have that back attic, but I can still pull the things I need from it without having to deal with all the issues.
And you think about the new, like the agentic tools and solutions that are launching, which do offer the promise of that. You add that to the concept, like innovations like MCP servers, for example. And even within ad tech and MarTech, we've got like AdCP, UCP, and other like standardization of the taxonomies of the signals that are being sent and how these tools connect together. I think that's going to unlock a lot of what you're talking about, is like, like we're never going to integrate everything, fix everything, but maybe this unlocks something. I really like what you hit on too about looking beyond just efficiency.
Yeah.
What is going to be something you didn't see, you expected to see, or you're predicting we will see in coming, either relating to this event or coming weeks, months?
It's interesting. I don't know. This is actually just to be very transparent. It's my first time at reInvent, right? So it's a little bit hard to know what to see or not to see. So I'm kind of comparing it to other conferences and other similar events. And I spent most of my time with our clients, and so I feel like I'm hedging your question. I think it's interesting to, maybe it's a little bit what I wasn't expecting to see as much. That kind of is interesting. It was, I was expecting it to be much more technical focus, and I know there was those tracks working through it, but I felt it was actually a bit, and I know it's biased, my curated experience is a bit biased, but it was much more business driven. It was much more business solutions that I was, so I was expecting to be a lot. And I know I could have found the tech spots, but even
I think if you'd gone here 5 years ago, it would have been very, very tech focused, right? And there still is an element of that, but that's cool to hear.
And so
I think it's a positive development.
Oh, shoot. So I mean, I think that's interesting, just around, and that, which obviously from AWS perspective, that gives them a whole different audience. But so I think it's what I expect to see. I think what's going to be interesting around, how do you have more, maybe next year, how do you still have more of those channels, going back to walking the floor. And I was actually out at dinner with some of our AWS friends, and obviously this is the classical hyperscale cloud. They're just going to absorb everything into their core product line, and I think so. That's another interesting element of like that. You're a race to where AWS itself is a friend and foe in every single moment, and it's like, and not just for us as Credera, but for everyone. And so this tension of like, that the path is, so how do you create competitive advantage, or where? So where I'm going with what I expect to see more is that can we acknowledge this? We know that, the way that a year ago we were talking about models and chips and all those elements. Now we're talking more about scale, use case agents that are all going to be driven by the hyperscale, in my opinion. And so how do you start to see more knitted scenarios in a strategic partnership alignment that are solving a particular problem? And so instead of it being walking into vendor floor and seeing all these different, I'm hacking my particular X, now you're starting to see, okay, this solution, this problem, we're going to synthesize the 2 or 3 things together to be able to solve that, which I think is a bit interesting for my day job. I feel like we have a chance to do that in the way that we can put the different pieces together as part of the Omnicom family. But I'm curious, I expect to see more of that, and you're actually going together in that environment versus just as me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I know that there's always concern, with not even just with Amazon. I think with Google too and others.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
they're just going to continue to innovate, build out the frontier models, innovate around those, and then put all these startups out of business. But I actually think it's the opposite. Maybe maybe there's always that concern, but I think if people build great solutions, and the whole back wall of the convention center was like hundreds of cool startups just building like the coolest stuff, right? So I think as long as people are taking those ideas, building great products and solutions, there'll be a market.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that too. And then going back down to our clients, for at least for me and the client side of that is really even around it's helping them figure out, well, what is the secret piece that you actually have in your ecosystem, whether it be domain knowledge, whether it be data, whatever it is that, you can bring together and you keep that's your competitive advantage. Here's where you're using these other elements of that. And again, that's been happening for a long time. So there's nothing unique about that. But again, I think AI gives you a fresh lens to look through it and just actually faster pace, faster speed. And I mean, we're going to be tons of mistakes. We're going to break stuff along the way. We're going to, there's all kinds of different issues that you're going to have to consider. And, I think, I tend to be a little bit more optimistic. I tend to be a little bit more break some eggs along the way, and so again, I think so. I know that's approach, but I think that the risk of not doing something today is greater than I have felt in the last, decade or so. And so I think you have to push yourself faster.
I've noticed that it's interesting. I think there's, brands are usually more cautious, right, than tech companies, certainly. But I think I've seen, especially with AI, like more risk taking, more wanting to maybe push limits a little bit, try things, knowing that, okay, maybe you break a couple eggs, obviously with guardrails. So I think that's part of what makes this time so exciting. I wanted to say too, just to kind of close the loop here, like been a great few months. I really enjoyed working together. I think this last few days kind of for me, just when I look at the great clients we're working with, the great partners, and the ability to come here and spend time with smart people and find out about some of the newest, most interesting things in tech. It's been a real pleasure. So thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Hey, this is Real Longacre here for Signal and Noise podcast, and we are at the very tail end of AWS reInvent 2025. So to wrap things up, I've got a special guest here. We got Phil Lockhart, who is the Chief Digital Officer at Credera. And super glad to have you here, Phil, and love to talk a little bit about your experience here at AWS, as well as kind of your thoughts on how things are evolving and, Credera's role versus hyperscalers, AWS, and I think how us being part of the holdco does make us a little different. I think you've got some really interesting thoughts on all these things. Maybe we start out just a little bit about yourself, your background, and
sure,
your role.
Yeah, well, thanks, Real, and appreciate the opportunity to chat through this. It is the end of tail end of AWS, and it's been a great week. Quite a bit.
It's your third year, isn't it? You're saying, right?
Yeah, reInvent number 3 for me. So it's been good to see it grow, kind of expand, and just a little bit of background. Chief Digital Officer at Credera, helped build out like commerce, MarTech, and now working with you on the ad tech thing, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be a great advancement there. So my background traditionally was just actually application development. So it's a hands-on development.
But you were an engineer.
Yeah, aerospace engineer, and then into software development, a lot of big data, mobile development, and then got into the actual channel strategy, commerce in particular, and ran that for a large company, which was awesome, and then just evolved directly into MarTech, and just the coalescence of that with ad tech has been awesome. And being part of Omnicom, Credera, joined Omnicom in 2018. That's just a natural progression. It's been great to see all the opportunities with that Omnicom has brought, which kind of leads to the second part that you're talking about, which is what is reInvent like for, a company within Holdco? It's definitely different,
Why can you elaborate a little bit on?
Yeah. So like you go through and there's a ton of excitement. You get through the expo hall and there's all this technology, all these different companies showcasing, doing demos of all their different solutions. Ours is a little bit different. We get to come and our kind of like 3 things I think would be is that we need to, look at how we continue to grow our and build our relationship with AWS just as a partner, which is really important. We need to look at is like how do we also
They're a great partner, aren't they?
They're fantastic. And I think
It could be tough, but they're just like in terms of like the smart, like intelligence, the scale they have. Like,
yeah. And I'd say like this week was, just showcased so much in the way that they set us up with so many different meetings across so many different levels of their business was phenomenal.
they have, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just the complexity that they have, but the unification in a simple way of making sure you got the industry, the technology pieces of it, which is really important because we're here from a whole perspective. It's like, not only how do we build our own craft, and internally, so we're really good at utilizing AWS, but for us, our approach is that, we help our clients solve their biggest problems in simple ways using AWS solutions. So we have to make sure we know what's the latest, what's the greatest within this, and then how can our clients actually utilize that?
It's interesting. I think it is a unique spot we have, Phil, like being like we're a consultancy, we're a systems integrator. Like always joke with people when they ask, what do you do? And they've really never done, they don't know what a consultant is. I would joke that, we sell expensive PowerPoints. Obviously, we do a lot more than that. We deliver solutions based on those a lot of times. We help execute roadmaps, but we are consultancies do solve problems. They do it with methodologies, and they deliver. Sometimes a PowerPoint, right? But it could be other things to help clients run their businesses better and solve their problems. And I think you compare that to agencies, the tradition of media, creative, analytics, all those other things. They are a unique position, right?
Sure.
Like I'd love to get your thoughts on how that makes us such a great partner for AWS, and how it helps us solve some of those problems for brands maybe a little different way.
Yeah, I think one of the unique things about Credera is that not only building that strategy, which sometimes results in a PowerPoint, but we're actually the enablement of it. So actually build it out.
Sure.
So the first thing starts with is like, hey, what problem exists, and like what business domain is it in marketing? Is it advertising? How do we make sure that personalization is taking place? But if you start thinking about the breakdown of it, there's like, hey, what strategy do I need to do to solve this problem? How do I solve it using technology within maybe AWS solutions? And then the last piece is run operate. So how do you use that technology to actually deliver the results? The big thing about us being part of that, the Omnicom holding company, is the fact that we get to see the whole thing. We get that feedback loop that a lot of companies just don't. So we get to get the view of like what the agencies are doing. They're doing the most grand things for the largest companies in the world, these huge visions that they're casting. And oftentimes our challenge is like, how do we solve that? Using the technology, maybe what they have, dumping out the technology on the table, figuring out how to use that. What new technology do we need to bring in? So we'll put that together, but we get the feedback of what works and what doesn't, how to tweak that. And that's like an important element, because our solutions and our offerings and the way we're solving problems is constantly evolving. And a lot of people just kind of stop at like that, hey, I stood up the system. We know the key pieces, of it. I think,
or hey, I gave you PowerPoint, right? I mean,
that's right.
Right.
I mean, like that's one of the big things, even like the PowerPoints, like when the comparison, since we go deliver it, the feedback we usually receive is like, hey, your detail within those strategies is much deeper. And the reason is that like, well, we have to deliver on, we have to go build that. So you want to make sure that we've equipped ourselves to actually go bring that to life.
Deeper and like practical too, right? I mean, you want to be visionary, right? And I think that I've seen too many PowerPoints in my time where you go in and the client says, well, this other pure play strategy firm, MBB type firm gave me this thing, it's 200 slides. I am going to start. And they're not going to hear that with us.
No, I mean, like the big thing is that we don't have a traditional sales team. Everyone that's building those decks is not a sales team. It's actually the practitioners, and they're going to be accountable for delivering it. So you're going to make sure it's right. Because they're we're putting ourselves on the hook to make sure that that's the right answer to go deliver it. And then oftentimes the agency is depending on it to not only do something for this year, but for multi-years with a specific expectation of effectiveness.
It's interesting. One thing I've noticed that we do really well, and I think like I'm sure it's helped Omnicom, I think Credera's ability to really get close to clients, work with them day to day, like be real practitioners, know their business, and build those long-term relationships. And I think this is something some agencies have historically struggled with. So I think 5 months in, it's a strength there for sure.
And yeah, it's great to hear. And it's a reality in the fact that, when you don't necessarily have like a traditional sales team, what you see is that you have to be effective, and we have long-term relationships. I've been here for 15 years and I've had clients up to 15 years, with that, just doing one project, but continuously getting, because of the way that we deliver work, we are alongside, our clients, working together to solve it. Oftentimes the same dev team. We'll work in, sometimes we do the whole thing, and then transfer it over to the client. But oftentimes it's really us side by side, working with the team to deliver that. And that builds relationships. And the biggest thing, trust, reliability, and it's fun. We've got a ton of great experiences with clients and great friends come out of that as well.
Well, speaking of fun, this last few days has been a lot of fun. It's been good connecting with you. And I know you have a flight to catch heading up to the airport pretty soon.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. Just wrapping up here, but it's been great, to be part of this and get to, be with, not only just all of the excitement of AWS, but just with the great presence Clara, was able to bring. We had a lot of team members here.
Yeah.
That which was fantastic. So we get to enjoy it together. It's been great spending time with you, Rio, and excited about all the great stuff that we're going to be able to bring back and all the new things you're going to be able to do to advance Clara specifically in the advertising and ad tech world. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm excited too. For those who don't know, Phil is the reason why I came to Clara. I think we met at a bunch of these things, and I remember thinking, these are the type of people I want to work with. So,
and we are so thankful. Couldn't be more impressed. As soon as I met you, I'm like, this is someone that would be a great addition to Clara. It's been 100% true. So it's going to be awesome. Couldn't be more excited.
Thanks again, and safe travels home. And for the viewers, over and out.
Hi, this is Rio Longacre here with Alyssa Firth, and we're here for Signal and Noise podcast. And this is our final installment here for reInvent 2025.
We made it.
Yeah, we did. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
So we're here with wine to celebrate.
Survived a few days in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's been a long few days, but a really exciting few days. A lot of great partnership.
A lot of time in Chandelier Bar.
A lot of time at the Chandelier Bar. What do you think was your favorite part?
The Chandelier Bar or?
No.
I think spending time with people. There's no substitute for being with people in real life, whether it's clients, partners, colleagues. It was awesome. And Cordera had a really big presence here this year, which is great. We have this beautiful suite we rented out in Wynn. I think we had a few dozen people. It was nice to see a big turnout. It was great to see people at AWS. Obviously it's their event, but the relationships we have with them are great. And then get some good clients here. So I think all of that for me, that was the highlight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was also here last year, and just the growth that we had from last year to this year is really just so exciting to me, and a testament of all the hard work that we've put in over the last year. And just, I think we've got so much momentum going into 2026. And so I'm really excited to work with all of the partners and take all the conversations that we had and turn it into something, really meaningful value for our clients.
What are some of the key things that you heard, or any the kind of takeaways as we close the page on this?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot about AI, content supply chain, data foundation. I think the last...
It came up a lot, data foundation.
Oh, a lot. Yeah. And a lot of our partners talked about that. But I think the last thing that was really prevalent in a lot of the conversations, I think on Tuesday, and then also again today with AWS, was, how can we be most successful at driving marketing transformation for clients? And it's the way that we do it, which is bringing the IT organization and the marketing organization together in the same room to have the conversation so that both sides can really understand the value that they're trying to drive, right? You got the strategy that needs the tech, but both teams win, right? And both teams see ROI. And so by bringing them into the room together, that's how we're going to be able to really drive to true transformation and ROI for companies.
That makes a lot of sense. One takeaway I have is, AWS announced a bunch of new tools, many of them really solutions and frameworks to facilitate agentic interactions. And I think for MarTech and EdTech, it's important, right? Because it's okay if you could really create agentic solutions that
for measurement or for audiences or for activation. I think they've laid the groundwork for a lot of this when you combine that with a lot of the new protocols, whether it's AdCP, UCP, et cetera. I think that now the groundwork has been created, but now the tools have to be created, right? And I think that's really where the rubber meets the road. So I'd like to think over the next year, we'll start to see people put these things in market, create them, including us, right? Create them. Clients are asking about it. So next year is going to be exciting, and the whole agentic AI revolution is going to be pivotal to see whether we get from like the belief that this is the future to actually solutions in market, GA, production, et cetera. That's I think this coming year is when that happens or doesn't.
I agree. It's time to start building, taking all of these puzzle pieces or building blocks and putting them together into solutions. But what I want to make sure we also don't forget are the human elements of this, right? We're talking a lot about tech and tools, but you also have to have the right processes, the right operating models, and the change in place.
The data foundation.
And that's right, in order to actually make it happen and drive adoption. So as long as we don't get too wrapped up and excited in the tech and forget about the people and the who are actually going to be using it, then I think we'll be in a good spot.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's this promise of agentic AI and what does it change? Is it like, I had a client a couple of years ago. It was a really insightful question. She asked me, she said, well, now that we have like AI that I can use for different things, like let's say digital asset management, maybe I don't need a DAM anymore, right? Can I just, can AI do that for me? And I thought like, wow, that's actually, at first I thought you definitely need one, of course. Maybe you'll use the AI to go through it quicker. Then I realized, well, if the AI is going to be naming things for you, maybe creating the taxonomies for you, maybe even organize things for you, you probably still need things to be stored somewhere, but like fundamentally it might really change like how a DAM operates. So then you can apply that to everything. So I think that's what's really fascinating. We'll see where this goes, but the implications on how it impacts technology, especially advertising, marketing technology, not only the way that we interact with the tools, but the way the tools interact with themselves is going to be huge.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, we have accomplished a lot here, and we'll be back in a month for CES to talk more ad tech.
Just when you thought you didn't get enough of Vegas, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So let's go home for the holidays, take a rest, and we'll see you all in Vegas in a month.
Congrats on a great event.
Cheers.
See you all soon.